So hello and to everyone, and so for this final meditation on the topic of the week, the the symptoms or the consequence of letting go, consequence of non-clinging, that when we when we are able to let go of clinging to something, take the time to appreciate the after effect, the results of that. And excuse me for a minute. And one of the consequences is that we're able to think better. That when there's a lot of clinging, a lot of attachments, it isn't just we're attached to one thing. We're being propelled by momentum of wanting, not wanting, grasping, resisting. It's an accumulation. It's a gathering together. It becomes almost a way by which we are thinking. We're thinking motivated or driven by the very force of attachment, force of clinging, force of preoccupation, force of worry that we have. And thinking that comes from that kind of pressure is not usually the best kind of thinking we can have. It limits the fullness or the full or the deep capacity we have to think, to reflect. We think much better, wiser, kinder, more loving, wiser is probably the word I like to use the most. When we've let go, when we're not, thinking is not being driven by clinging. And so one of the symptoms of non-clinging is feeling and sensing, experiencing a wiser, more useful, more connected way of thinking. And in meditation that plays out in that we're not so preoccupied, we're not preoccupied at all to think about things that have nothing to do with meditation. Or say it more precisely, that have nothing to do with connecting to what's happening as present moment experience. The mind might be thinking about the future, planning or worrying, but the deep thinking is the thinking that helps us to have an overview of that, what's going on for us, to see clearly, this is thinking about the future. There's a deeper place from which we observe, we reflect, we consider what's happening, including considering the surface thinking we have. That is the thinking that comes from when there's still some of this momentum of grasping that might be operating. So it's not a matter of, in meditation, thinking or not thinking. It's a matter of thinking superficially or with blinders on or with thinking with agendas, and thinking in a deeper way, holistic way, a way that feels the thinking connects us to the present moment as opposed to thinking that takes us away from it. And that thinking tends to be quieter, slower, more peaceful, and it's a thinking that doesn't need to think. It's a thinking that points almost to that which is beyond thinking. It's almost as if you can sense in that deep thinking the quiet or the peace or the stillness or the well-being, the expansiveness within which this deep thinking is occurring. And so as we let go in this meditation, you might want to see if that gives you an opportunity to have this deep form of thinking, this more holistic, quieter, peaceful thinking that points you or keeps you in this very rich and valuable connection to yourself, to reality, that's all about what's happening here and now. And as I said, your surface mind might still be thinking about other things, but the deep mind sees it all clearly, is not tricked to be pulled away from here. So assuming a meditation posture and thinking of the posture a little bit like a temple or a sacred grove or a peaceful spot that you've known in nature or at home. And that the posture you take, let it be somewhat intentional, so it can house a deeper connection, a deeper source for thinking. And gently close your eyes. Gently, intentionally in a slow way, take a few long, slow, deep breaths. Relaxing as you exhale. And then letting your breathing return to normal. And as you exhale, to relax the muscles of your face. The tensions we carry in our body are part of this accumulated tension that perpetuates the shallow thinking, the surface thinking, the thinking which has a compulsion behind it. Relaxing the body is the beginning of softening that compulsive thinking. As you exhale, relaxing the shoulders, softening. And then softening the belly. And then taking some time to feel and sense the momentum or energy or pressure in the thinking mind. And as you exhale, to soften, relax, quiet the thinking mind. And then settling into your breathing. And with every exhale, let go of whatever you're thinking about. Let go of preoccupation with what you're thinking about. Let go and while you exhale, so you're able to receive the inhale with a freshness or an openness. For a little bit longer. With every exhale, let go of your thoughts, any thoughts, so that when you inhale, you can be more connected to your immediate experience here and now. Maybe through the sensations of inhaling, or maybe through your body's experience, or maybe through a present moment recognition of what is happening to you otherwise. Let go with the exhale. And then remember to be present here and now on the inhale. Continuing on the exhale to let go. Let go of any momentum, any preoccupation. Let go of even what you're not attached to for these few moments as you exhale. So it's clear, it's nothing you're holding on to. If you can't let go, relax, soften, lessen the attachment to whatever degree you can. And then as you inhale, from the profoundest place you know within, or the most holistic way you know, use the simplest possible thought to connect you to what's happening here and now. Maybe the simple thought, this, or here, or now. An upwelling of a more deeper way of thinking that it puts you in a partnership with the deepest, fullest place within, a place of non-clinging, non-attachment. and gently, softly, take just a little bit deeper inhales than usual in meditation, so you can have a longer exhale in which to let go, relax, settle in more deeply into yourself. Letting go of the tension or pressure, agitation that might be associated with thinking, the thinking mind, a softening of the thinking mind. And from whatever degree of letting go, relaxing, being present you have, see if there can well up from within some wisdom that you have, some way of thinking about the present moment, about practicing in the present moment that you have. What wise way can you think about being here and now? Thinking about how it's valuable so that it connects you to that very way of being. And then from this deeper source of thinking, a quieter place, a wiser place within, from that place turn your gaze outward into the world, to the people you'll meet today, both people you know and strangers on the streets. And from a deeper place of wisdom, deeper place of non-clinging, what for you would be a friendly, respectful, kind way of gazing upon the people in your life? And maybe from this deep place, these following words will resonate for you. May others be happy. May others be safe. May others be peaceful. May others be free. And may I look upon the world with those wishes. May my thinking, my way of being, support this way of seeing everyone. May all beings be happy. Thank you. Hello and welcome to this last talk on the results or the symptoms of non-clinging. Now, non-clinging, letting go of clinging, dissolving clinging, having clinging somehow lessen and lessen until maybe it disappears. These are not easy to do, and it can't be done necessarily just to sit down and just let go, let go, let go, like we did in the last meditation. But as we keep practicing, every time we come back to breathing, every time we come back to mindfulness, a moment of clarity, of knowing and seeing, it is a kind of, that's letting go, or maybe a different way of saying it, is a kind of way of no longer feeding the clinging we have, the attachments we have. And it might not seem very significant one moment like that, but the accumulation of moments of not feeding our clinging, not being involved in our clinging, has a dramatic results that you can see and highlight if you remember or consider that for many of us, we have spent decades with a kind of thinking that's being propelled by some forms of compulsion, attachment, clinging, wanting, not wanting. And given that we've done decades of that, the amount of time it takes to begin softening and relaxing is relatively short. Even though the process might be imperceptible in the moment, it still can happen much faster than the opposite happen. So as we begin to lessen our attachments, lessen that drive to be attached, to be clinging, to be repressing, to be resisting, to be whatever form the attachment takes, at some point something begins shifting within us. And it's not just a matter of clinging or not clinging, but it's beginning to appreciate something that's growing within us, something, a different way of being, a different sensibility. And that's been the theme for this week. So there can grow a sense of well-being, a sense of spaciousness, expansiveness, a sense of peace and ease. There can grow a sense of feeling more connected to our life and what's happening now. There can also arise a deeper sense of creative thinking, or a deeper wellspring of thinking in a new way, a different way, a better way. If there have been times when I felt kind of overwhelmed by things in my life, what was going on, too much happening, and my mind is kind of spinning and activate, running and jumping around from one thing to the other. And so I've learned when that happens, I'll go sit down, meditate for a while. And sometimes it doesn't take that long for things to settle and relax enough that it changes the quality characteristics of my thinking. And now my thinking is not jumping so much. It's more relaxed and settled and able to address in a kind of clear way, one thing at a time, whatever the issue is, rather than jumping around and hopping. As we let go, the letting go is not just a surface thing we do. It begins opening up and releasing the wellspring of intelligence that's in the whole of who we are. Whenever there's attachment, whenever there's clinging, whenever there's repression going on, it's we're limiting ourselves, we're restricting ourselves. And the movement in this practice towards freedom is to have an unrestricted feeling within. Doesn't mean we're unrestricted to do whatever we feel like we want to do, but there's no sense of anything here being restricted at the movements within us. And so then there can be a very different way of thinking. And deep meditation sometimes has a certain kind of rudimentary, simple, very light, very calm, almost silent way of thinking that is about the present moment experience. This is this deeper source of where wisdom can arise. And so when you have non-clinging, not easy to do, but certainly possible for every single one of you, as you begin sensing that you're letting go or relaxing, even temporarily, one of the things to appreciate is the different way that you think. Maybe, I talk about it being more deeper or more profound way of thinking. Some of you might have a different vocabulary for it. It might be that it feels the thinking is more holistic, or simply that the thinking is more calm. It's more settled thinking. But one way or the other, it doesn't have to be any of these words. It can be your own discovery for yourself of what the difference is between thinking that's driven by clinging, thinking that's compulsive thinking, jumping thinking, agitated thinking, scared thinking, versus thinking when we're settled, at ease, feeling safe, feeling contented, feeling here. We're really here in the moment in its fullness. And then can you see how for you there are two different ways of thinking? And maybe you'll have your own way of describing that distinction. I'm particularly fond of these days about the idea of profound contemplation, a deep way of thinking from deep within, from the belly almost, that settled and connected, a feeling of being really in the body, holistic and here, and that what wells up from within. And then thinking can be, there's a different kind of intelligence. There's a different form of creativity, different form of wisdom that can come. And one manifestation of that when I first was living at a Buddhist monastery was the creativity that started flowing through me that hadn't existed in my life before. And I started writing poetry. I started doing art in a way, and as a way of kind of giving voice, in a sense, to this deeper wellspring of emotions, even creativity that I had. And certainly the art, certainly the poetry required some kind of thinking, but it was a very different kind of thinking. Sometimes there was a kind of spontaneity to it and a connectivity to it, a freedom to it, where sometimes it feels like it's not me thinking. I can't take ownership of those thoughts. I can't, because they seem to be just coming from some place deep inside that knows better, knows best. And not that we should automatically believe everything that comes from this deeper place. There's always a place for check and balances, to take a second look at whatever we're thinking and question everything. But it can be so satisfying to have to think in some deeper source within, where kind of thinking flows in a very satisfying way. There's maybe even a sense of flow and with what emerges from us. Some people find that happens with when they think from that way as they write, that they're writing it out, and there can be a sense of flow and spontaneity and even surprise by what might come. So I'd like to repeat what I said, that the way I describe this doesn't have to be how it actually is for you. The important principle is that you might, as you begin to relax, settle, get calmer, less driven by attachments, that you might notice that your nature of your thinking changes. And it's valuable to see that change. And it may be appreciated if it feels right and feels good. Because the appreciation of the consequences of non-clinging strengthens our value, strengthens our connection to non-clinging. If it's just a matter of non-clinging and like that's all it feels like I'm doing, then why would we do it? But if we start feeling the benefits from it, and it's a choice word here, to really feel it, to sense it, to experience it, then non-clinging is not the duty then. And it's not just simply to let go of something that's some suffering we have. We let go also to receive the benefits of this of a life of freedom, a life of mindfulness. And we coming home to these benefits. So thank you very much, and I hope that this week has given you filled out and expanded the domain, the realm of mindfulness. So this has been a long series now since the beginning of the year on the introduction to mindfulness. And in some ways this is the kind of a culmination of the basic mindfulness instruction that also includes being mindful of the consequences of the practice, the benefits that come from it. So thank you all very much, and I will be away for the next 3 weeks, and I will miss being here with all of you, but you'll be in very good hands with the other teachers who come. And right in the moment I don't remember who they are, but the wonderful, let's see, I can tell you. Next week it's Diana Clark, one of the wonderful teachers here at IMC, and Kim Allen the following week, and the following week is Don Neal. So we have 3 really good teachers. They've been here before, and I feel very fortunate to have them substituting. And I'll be back on the 21st of April, and I hope you all stay well and connected and find your deeper source of creativity and intelligence and wisdom through this practice. Thank you very much.